Good day, everyone. Welcome to Level 4, People and Organization. My name is Olumuyiwa Abiodun. This is SSS Scholar School System. We are going to be learning for week 3 class, Motivation in Organization. This week, we are learning about motivation. This is BMM 4153, semester 2, People and Organization for level 4. The learning outcomes of this module, People and Organization, is on describing various components related to organizational behavior, discussing the key theories and concepts related to organizational behavior and dynamics, and as well as review your ability to work within a team, reflecting your personal skills and areas for development. So in this module, these are our learning outcomes. We have 3 learning outcomes. For today's class on motivation for week 3, learning objectives for today's class are: explain the meaning and underlying concepts of motivation, review the main theories of motivation, and evaluate their relevance to particular work situations. Identify factors influencing motivational strategies in an organization, and discuss the examples of motivational strategies in the contemporary workplace. These are our learning objectives for today. At the end of this class, students will be able to attain these 4 learning objectives. The key content in today's class will include the nature of motivation, the theories of motivation, learning and reinforcement-based theories, need and content-based perspectives of motivation, process-based perspectives of motivation. So the first thing we need to consider in people and organization in today's class is, what is motivation? When you talk about people and organization, looking at how employees in the workplace engage and perform and carry out their tasks and responsibilities, you talk about how managers can motivate them. As a business student that is planning to be a manager someday or a business owner someday, you must learn how to get the best from people, how to motivate your employees, how to stimulate them to work, to be productive. And in today's class, you are going to learn all these things. So first and foremost, what is the meaning of motivation? In simple terms, motivation is a set of forces that causes people to engage in one behavior rather than some alternative behavior. Meaning that motivation are elements or factors or stimulations or push issues that can make an individual to carry out a particular behavior. When you talk about motivation, you look at it as the creation of a stimuli that incentivizes employees to work better. It could also relate to the working conditions or the working environment. At the heart of motivation is to give people what they really want from work, what they want the most from work. In return, managers should expect from them a form of productivity. So motivation is all about getting the best from people, pushing them to work, influencing them to work, arousing in them the desire to behave in the manner in which is productive and resourceful. So as a business student and as a manager, you are going to learn in today's class how to apply motivation and motivational theories in relation to the workplace. Now, let's talk about the components of motivation. The components of motivation include: 1, it gives direction, which explains what a person is trying to do. 2, it talks about the effort being put into the thing that the person is trying to do. 3, persistence, how long the person will continue to keep pushing. So motivation is about persistence, it's about effort, it's about direction. These are components of motivation. So when you have it in the workplace, employees are directed towards a task. Employees are directed towards carrying out an activity. They are motivated to put efforts. They are motivated to push towards it. This is what motivation is about. Next, we look at the importance of motivation. When you talk about the importance of motivation, we can say in the contemporary workplace, motivation is very important because managers strive to motivate people in the organization to perform at high levels. Okay, but performance is based on other things like motivation, ability, and environment. So when you talk about motivation, you are looking at the different ways in which a manager can get the employees to work. A manager can get his staff to be productive, to make them want to come to work, to make them want to give ideas, to make them want to promote the office, to put input. So for example, you have Google and they promote their workplace by having high employee welfare, employee well-being, employee taking care of their employees. These are various ways you can motivate employees through performance bonuses, through working conditions, through good relationship with your supervisor. So the importance of motivation is clearly stated, and there are some major importances of motivation. As you can see, it talks about high level of performance. So when employees are properly motivated, they will work more, they will be committed to their job, they will be engaged, they will find out ways to increase their performance. Also, there will be low turnover. Turnover means the rate at which employees decide to stay or leave the organization. So when there's high turnover, employees will most likely leave the organization. When there's high turnover, employees will not stay in the organization. The opposite of turnover is retention. So motivation helps to ensure that employee turnover is low and retention is high. Motivation helps to ensure employee turnover is low and retention is high. Also, motivation helps in the organization to ensure that employees accept change easily. Employees are open to change when they are motivated, because the world around us today, there are a lot of changes. People are working from home, working from remote work, distant work, telework. These things are changes that arose from COVID-19. And today, employees are able to embrace those changes because they are highly motivated. So managers and organizations need to look for ways to push and ensure that their employees are motivated enough to embrace change. Finally, one of the importance of motivation is in terms of what? Improving organizational image. Motivation will improve the organizational image. It will enhance the reputation of the organization. Google has been described as one of the best places to work because it has good employee motivation strategies. They provide employee relaxation rooms. They provide therapy for employees. They provide physical and mental health well-being of employees. So these are various means in which Google has been able to promote motivation of employees. So when you talk about importance of motivation, significance of motivation, you look at it in those lights. It improves organizational reputation. It enhances performance. It reduces turnover. It allows employees to embrace change. Now we're going to talk about the types of motivation. The types of motivation include extrinsic. Extrinsic means external, intangible. Extrinsic means physical, tangible. These are motivation that can be felt by the employee. Things like the workplace, the conditions, promotion, benefits, salary. These are physical things that can make the employee to be motivated in the workplace. Extrinsic motivation are external things, things that are outside of the employee. Now, intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, relates to internal things, intangible things, intangible things. Intrinsic motivation deals with feelings, deals with recognition, deals with inherent elements, the passion to work, a promotion, okay, a caring boss. These are intangible, okay? They are things that are inside the employee that can be used to motivate them. So the two major types of motivation is extrinsic and intrinsic. And extrinsic is physical, intrinsic is non-physical. Extrinsic is tangible, like your benefit, like a increase in salary, or a better working condition, or a medical insurance. These are examples of motivation. And intrinsic is internal, recognition, achievement, a challenging job, the drive to work, self-passion. These are intrinsic motivation. Now, in this course, we are going to relate everything we are learning to theories. So we have to talk about theories of motivation. Okay? So we are looking at motivation theories. This is going to be related to your task assignment, where you talk about some theories and apply them to a contemporary organization. Okay? So we are going to look at 3 categorizations of motivation theory. We have the reinforcement theory, we have the needs theory, we have the process theory. Now, let us explain this briefly. First and foremost, reinforcement theory says that over time, people learn about the relationship between their actions and consequences, and this understanding guides their future behavior. Reinforcement deals with rewarding employees for their positive behavior while punishing employees for their negative behavior, or giving them a consequence. So reinforcement is about using rewards to drive motivation. You can reward someone for coming early to work. You can reward someone for hitting more than his target. That is motivation. Also, somebody coming late to work can be punished or can be given a query as a reinforcement of a negative nature. So this is the reinforcement theory. Next, we have the content theory, where we talk about Abraham Maslow and Herzberg two-factor theory. These theories are based on need. It says that if managers can meet the needs of employees, then they can be able to motivate the employees. According to Maslow, 1964, he explained that employees' needs can be met across 5 stages. We talk about 1, the physiological needs, 2, safety needs, 3, social needs, 4, esteem needs, and 5, self-actualization needs. Abraham Maslow explained that each of these needs have different meanings to different employees. And as such, every employee must ensure that every organization and employer must ensure that they are able to understand each of their employees and meet their needs as it comes. Now, in the concept of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have physical needs, things like giving lunch, security needs, job security, safety needs, team bonding, esteem need like recognition, and self-actualization needs like fulfilling the dream of an employee. These are different needs that can be met and be used to motivate employees. Now, the second one is the Herzberg two-factor theory. Herzberg two-factor theory in 1957 explains that the things that motivate employees are different from the things that demotivate employees. Or let me use the word satisfaction. So Herzberg says that the things that satisfy employees are very different from the things that dissatisfy employees. So the meaning of this is that when you talk about employee motivation, Herzberg says that maybe a salary, the presence of salary, might not be a motivating factor because it is a reward for your work. You worked and you were paid. However, the absence of salary might cause demotivation. So Herzberg explains that each members, managers, organizations need to know the distinction between things that satisfy and things that dissatisfy. So for example, the presence of work, good working condition, the work itself, the relationship with your boss, all those things, career advancement, all those things are things that will satisfy if they are present. They will motivate employees to work. However, if they are absent, doesn't mean that they will be demotivated. On the other hand, things like salary, things like good, clear work description, if they are absent, employees will be demotivated or dissatisfied. So these are the 2 content theories. They explain that managers can motivate employees based on some content, based on some needs. Finally, we'll talk about the process theory. And I'll focus on expectancy theory and equity theory. Equity theory says people will be treated. If people are treated better, they will be motivated. If people are treated equally, they will be motivated. So when you talk about, for example, no discrimination, no gender discrimination, no racial discrimination in the workplace, maybe their salary, the salary for a British is the same for a salary for an Indian in an organization. That is equity theory. It explains that people will be more motivated. People will be more satisfied with their jobs if they are treated equitably. So we talk about equity theory as a major theory that organizations use today. And a model that explains more about equity theory is diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know the concept of DEI. Most organizations today are talking about DEI. Next is expectancy theory. And expectancy theory says motivation depends on the likelihood that rewards will follow effort and that the reward is worthwhile or the reward is valuable. This means that if employees know that if I work, I will be rewarded, and if they know that the reward they're going to get is something that they want, they will work harder. So ladies and gentlemen, in this week 3, the key area you can focus on is discussing on motivational theories, motivation theories. These are the basis in which you are going to write your assessment. Now, let's talk about also the factors that affect motivation. Okay, motivation is enhanced by leadership, interaction with workers, interaction with colleagues. It's also influenced by culture, interaction with the organizational culture, the way climate, the way things are done. And it's also influenced by personality. It's also influenced by the organization itself. All these are factors influencing motivation. Okay, it can be elements within the organization. It could be elements outside the organization. It could be the person itself. These are components or factors influencing, affecting motivation. Now, we're going to look at some different kinds of motivational strategies. Example include working conditions, company policies that are conducive, respect, fairness. These are company policies, job security, pay and benefits, okay, incentives, also relationship with colleagues, relationship with your supervisor, status. All these are different ways organizations can put motivation together. Motivation can be extended or expressed through these various ways. Good working condition, conducive working condition, open communication, feedback, respect for each other, employees feeling they know what they are doing. These are various means in which motivation can be expressed. Now, what will happen when motivational strategies are effective? There will be increased performance, as we mentioned before. There will be increased employee well-being. Employees will feel happy to be at work. Employees will be engaged at work. Employees will be better satisfied with their job. There will be creativity. There will be ingenuity. There will be problem solving. So as a business manager, you need to focus on getting the best from your employees, motivating them, giving them a push with things that can make them happy to be at the job. A good working condition, some free lunch, transportation allowance. These are ways you can give motivation and see the best results in your employees. We have a class activity here where you are going to read about other theories, okay, that relate to motivation, and they are things that can better explain your assignments when you are doing it. Takeaways and conclusion. We learned in today's class that motivation is the creation of a stimuli, incentives, working environments that enable people to perform at their best ability. This is motivation. Motivation relates to job performance, and it also is influenced by ability and the work environment. Motivation components include direction, effort, and persistence. The various needs and expectations at work can be categorized into extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Employees can get frustrated at work if they are not properly motivated. Motivational theories can be categorized into reinforcement theory, content theory, and process theory. Finally, we find out that motivation strategies can be influenced by factors such as the individual personality, by the organization itself, and by the environment in which an organization lives, the society. Okay, so today we have learned about motivation in organization and how to use motivation as an element or as a component of organizational behavior in people and management. Thank you very much. You have some reading references you can take note of here to buttress more your points on motivation and to use it for any of the topics you are writing in your assessment. Thank you very much. Goodbye.